Hey, hi everyone. Good morning. Welcome back. See, guys, as part of the previous session, we have seen how exactly we can do a configuration of this particular playwright in our machine, right? Where we have done using the extension that we have on a visual code along with the command that we have placed on the terminal. And of course, whenever we have configured it, automatically it's creating if you observe a spec.ts file, right? It automatically created that. Now what we are going to do here is let us try to run and debug. So running as a separate activity and debugging as a separate activity, and see how exactly we can execute it or how exactly we can debug it. Okay, let us see step by step. So what I'm gonna do right now is let me navigate to the official documentation itself. And if you look at it, yesterday we were on the same screen, basically the installation, writing the test, and then from that particular options, I was just picking up running and a debugging from that particular documentation itself. Using the Playwright, you can run a single test or you can run a set of a test. You can run all the tests. There is a customized option for you. Either you can run one or a group or a multiple tests all in one shot. And that too, it can be run on a one browser or a multiple browsers using the project flag. Okay, that's fine. There is an option that you have a project flag with which you can specify the browser name also. And by default, it's executing in an headless mode, which means you don't see any browser window that performs that particular operation. Ultimately, whenever you run it, you will see a result stating that the execution is completed. You can view the report. In the report, you will see whether it is a passed or a failed. But still, if you want to run it and if you want to see that particular operation, you have, okay, a headed mode. Okay, you have a headed mode and also you have a UI mode. As part of this session, right, we are going to talk about the headed mode and other options. The UI mode, we will be discussing complete about the UI mode as part of the next session. Okay, and if you scroll down a bit from that documentation, you can see that you can run your Playwright tests using this particular command, which is an npx Playwright test. So what exactly this does, basically, this runs your test on all the browsers as a configured in a Playwright a config file, basically. So if you remember yesterday, we have seen that after the configuration is done, after the installation is done, there is a config file wherein which you have the number of retries option that you can configure, the video capturing option, all those things were there as part of that configuration. Here in the same configuration, it does has a point or a section in which you can specify what are all the browsers you want to execute. Okay, and by default, this command will run in an headless mode, which means the browser is not gonna show up for us directly. The report is gonna show. What is the command here? Npx Playwright test. So guys, if you look at this particular documentation, whatever the commands that I have listed here, all are from this official documentation. If you drill down one step after another step, whichever the commands that are populating as part of the documentation, I just consolidated here. You no need to refer to my PPT for execution this particular commands. You can also look at the official documentation itself. Okay, perfectly all right. So what exactly this command npx Playwright does? Ideally, it will initiate the Playwright test runner, which then executes all your defined test files. Okay, immediately a question that comes in our mind, Surendra, yesterday we have seen that it is considering tests as a directory, but how would it know that this is my test file, right? Ideally, whenever you are creating your test files should have an extension as .spec.ts or .test.ts, basically, as we are using a TypeScript. Spec.ts or a test.ts, consider that. Landing page.spec.ts, login page.test.ts. If you have these two keywords at the end, right, your Playwright recognizes that this is what my test is that I want to execute. That's fine. So Surendra, that's fine. The Playwright test is clear. Then what is this npx does? What exactly this npx is, right? So this npx is a node package execute, which is a command line tool that comes with the npm whenever you have a installed node, right? Npm node package manager. This npx comes by default with your npm itself. What exactly this npx does, that allows you to execute the node.js package binaries in your machine. Whatever the node.js package binaries are there, all those things will be executed using this npx itself. So npx, this is the playwright. Of course, it is a node.js component, and this is the test that I want to execute. Perfectly all right. So this is the first command. And if you look at this particular documentation that I have written, npx playwright test, what it's gonna do is run all the tests on all the browsers defined in the playwright config.file in an headless mode. What is this command does basically? npx playwright test does how many tests are there in your code, in your test directory. All those tests will be executed, and it will be executing on all the browsers whatever you have defined in a playwright config. So what I'm doing right now is I was just looking at my source code. Here inside the test, there is an example .spec.ts. Yes, of course, this will be considering as a test file and it will execute. And if you look at it, basically, there is one test. It is starting with a test keyword in line number 3. And there is another test which is starting at a line number 10, right? We haven't created these things. Yesterday also, we have seen that right after the installation, one basic test is there inside the test, and there is one advanced program which is there as part of the test example. So I'm looking at that basic test. This is a one test and this is another test. So altogether we have a two different tests are there. So what I'm doing right now means I just pull my terminal and I'm taking this particular command npx playwright test, put that command here. What this command is going to do is how many tests are there. So there are two tests. It will run these two tests on the browsers that are defined as part of a config.ts, which is a playwright config.ts. We haven't seen that particular one, but let me try to run it first and then we will go back and we will see that. See here, running a six tests. Okay, here we are running a six test basically. So I have a just a two tests, but it is executing six tests. Okay, six test got a passed and it took this much of time. You can watch the report. So why it is running on a six basically? It was supposed to run a two, right? So let me open this playwright config.ts. Let us look at this particular one. Okay, let us look at this particular one. So if you look at this playwright config.ts, if you scroll down a bit in line number 36, configure projects for major browsers. If you look at it as part of the project, so we have a three sections. So the first one is a Chromium, the second one is a Firefox, and the third one is a WebKit. So here it is trying to launch your two tests on these three browsers. So that's the reason you are getting it as a 6. Okay, perfectly all right. So then immediately a quick question that comes in our mind. Surendra, what is this Chromium? What is this particular WebKit? Right. Ideally, in Playwright, Chromium and a WebKit are the underlying browser engines that Playwright uses to communicate with your web application on a different browsers. Your Playwright will communicate with these engines. These engines will interact with the browser. Okay, that's fine. So let us see about a Chromium basically. So this Chromium is an open source engine which is developed by the Google, and with this Chromium engine you can interact with a Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and as well as a open Opera browser. Okay, and as well as an Opera browser. So using this Chromium engine, Chrome browser, Edge browser, and as well as an Opera browser you can interact with. So whenever you use this particular line in your Playwright, so it is interacting with the Chromium engine that allows your test would appear on a Chromium based browsers. The same way, if you look at this particular WebKit, right? If you look at this particular WebKit, this WebKit engine is developed by Apple primarily to interact with the Safari browser on a Mac OS or any kind of an iOS devices. Okay, so whenever you have defined this particular one, internally, this engine is interacting with your Safari browser. Okay, this engine is interacting with your Safari browser. Perfectly all right. So, another kind of a question that rises in our mind. So, Surendra, I haven't installed a Firefox browser in my machine. So, if I run a Firefox, how exactly my Playwright does? See, the point here is ideally the Playwright test execution doesn't rely on the browsers that are installed in our machine. It will download the binaries, whatever it is required, and it will execute it. So, though your system isn't having a Firefox browser, that doesn't make any difference. Your Playwright will take care about it and it will execute it. Perfectly all right. So moving back, what I'm doing is let me comment these two browsers. So which is I'm commenting it out the Firefox and I'm commenting it out this WebKit engine also. So which does has my config does has only the Chromium information itself. Now let me pull my runner. Earlier it ran on a 6, right? The execution test count is a 6. But if you observe right now, two tests will be executed only on a one browser, and you can view the report here using this particular command. Now let me copy this command and put it here. And when I open this one, see the report got executed. So this is the way how exactly it got executed. See, all tests were passed, a total 2 were passed, nothing got a failed. There is no flakiness identified in your execution. And it took this much of time for this command and this much of time for this command, and it took overall this much time for this execution. The whole summary got populated as part of our report. And if you want to come out from the report, if you see basically press a Control C to quit. So Control C so that it will be quitting that particular report. So this is the way how exactly we can use this NPX Playwright test, wherein which we have seen what exactly the NPX is, what exactly the engines, how the Playwright is going to interact with, which is a Chromium and as well as a WebKit. And even if the browser isn't installed, how exactly, the Playwright handles that particular operation. And additionally, we have seen that, okay, if we change the configuration as part of that particular config file, how it is triggering that, and a sample report we have seen. And in the next session, we will continue our topic with these examples, guys. Okay, let us take a break for now. And in the next session, we will continue with these examples. Thank you.